we're in the middle of the freaking mountains. Just got finished at Zermatt. Is that how you say it?
Zermatt. They're going to correct us regardless of what
Zermattans are nice, man.
Yeah, yes,
Zermattaners?
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Where are we?
I know what Zermatters. We're really close to the Matterhorn, and that's what matters.
That's what Matterhorns. Anyway, so yeah, we're here in the middle of this really long valley ravine. Awesome. I'm just blown away by what we've seen the last couple of days.
I wasn't about to make you guys go 2 weeks without but at the same time, I wasn't about to go inside because we're in freaking Switzerland.
Yeah, so we're kind of like in this non-tech. It's kind of
a non-tech.
The non-tech.
The non-tech.
This is the non-tech.
Is that a website?
I don't know.
With lots of beige.
Maybe.
Yeah. Let's just talk about what's going on down here. I've got the laptop on the ground.
So we got the camera here to make it look at, and we got. I'm gonna have to get a shot of this so you guys can see this later on when how we actually set this up.
Cars going by slowly. All right, so Google I've started about the waterfall noise, but deal with it. I like waterfalls. So Google, right? They've started a new company called Alphabet, and Alphabet is going to be a parent company for Google and all the other things that were too far into other fields. Essentially, it's going to allow all the other things that were way outside of Google's scope to be way more flexible. For instance, some of their technologies they're researching in the health field, their drone delivery service. Before, having that all under the Google umbrella would make them, all answerable to Google, and Google has a single CEO, single president, all that sort of thing. Now, with one parent company, they're not going to be under Google's roof anymore. They can appoint a specific CEO for each one of those. They can be way more nimble. They can get stuff done quicker, and so they're now Alphabet, and they're not going to be Google on the stock exchange anymore too. So if you look and you're like, why do I own shares of Alphabet? What is that? Some kind of soup or something? I don't know, man. Could be interesting. I like small, nimble companies, and yeah.
One of the things this brings to light in my mind is speaking of like stock exchange, and that you're gonna have all these other, you're gonna have a parent company. It's gonna be Alphabet, but will Google be listed independently of Alphabet on the stock exchange? So
they're all going to be under the same umbrella. So if you invest in Alphabet, you're investing in all of Google's endeavors, including the ones that some people think are insane but pay off in 25 years because they're masters of the game of chess.
Interesting. So the other thing about this that kind of makes me just things that I'm more interested in is right now we know that Google is making a lot of money, and they've got places in different parts of the world that allow them to we say they like to avoid taxes, but it's really it's the loopholes that were put into the system for big companies like Google to take advantage of, so they don't have to pay in say the UK and then again in the US, and it's
you can easily take advantage of those. And I complain about the way Apple does it. The main reason I actually complain about when Apple does it is because they pretend to be saints, and they pretend to be like, oh, there's no big deal here. We're not like doing anything strange. And Google's like, it's the law, man.
It's the way it was designed.
I
don't necessarily agree with the loopholes and how they're designed, but my point is that with this structuring, I'm curious to see how that will affect all of that. Just something I want to put out there as a thought to the side of I'm in the mountains, man. I'm like.
You know what I think? So speaking of this area of the world, Bavaria is just right over that way somewhere.
Bugs.
Bavaria is just over there somewhere, and that's where BMW is. BMW if you're in Bavaria, but they own Alphabet.com, and they're not going to give it to Google at all. They're not willing to sell it. They don't care about the price. Why do they want Alphabet.com? I don't know. It's not a three-character domain name. We're talking about Lenovo.
A to Z. Maybe they should do A to Z.
A to Z.
That's probably also something that's owned by somebody else. Probably porn site. Anyway.
Let's talk about Lenovo.
Oh, no, I don't want to talk about Lenovo. I don't like them, and this just reinforces why I don't like them.
Lenovo?
Yeah, don't buy them.
Lenovo? Someone on Reddit make that a meme. Lenovo. That's the worst idea ever, but you guys maybe could make it cool. No, I don't know. So anyway, Lenovo. We talked a while back. They've got that stupid rootkit thing or whatever. They throw a lot of their spyware.
Superfish?
Yeah, the Superfish. They threw their software, their spyware onto a lot of the laptops that they were selling, and then they got caught. And they were like, "Oh, very sorry, we'll never do that again." Whoops, closed the browser. I didn't even click anything. All right, so Lenovo, they had the Superfish.
And then they got caught, and we yelled at them, and they're like, "We're so sorry."
Yeah, you were.
And now they're doing something a little trickier. Now, this does have to do with the Xeon chips that they're putting in there, yes?
Not necessarily. It's happening on a lot of different devices. They haven't exactly pinpointed all the model numbers, so people are just now on forums and saying, hey, it's happening to me. So here's what's happening. You do a clean install of Windows, And as soon as you do your clean install of Windows, Lenovo stops prompting you to make your computer faster, download the Lenovo whatever performance center and all this crap. How does it know to do that? Why is it doing it? And in the background, there is Lenovo stuff running in the background on your computer on a clean install every time.
You know, this is why I was thinking it was with the Xeon chips, because I know the Xeon chips have a specific subset of Intel's. One of the instructions has to do with enterprise grade stuff that it allows pieces of the firmware to do this kind of stuff. And it's the CPU having a chit chat with part of the hardware that allows us to just rewrite some shit. I don't like it. I'm sorry, I really don't like it.
Next T-shirt needs to be stop buying Lenovo products because Apple doesn't even do heinous shit like this. Like that's beyond Apple's level.
Might. We just haven't found it yet.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't really take a lot of time to dig into the Apple stuff. It's possible they might. I mean, Apple does own the firmware. I mean, the underlying firmware that is the system. It very well could be doing that. I don't know. We'd have to look into it more.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
All right, moving right along here.
Raise your fists and be angry at them doing this.
So speaking of backdoors, like the Lenovo thing, this TotoLink router, if you guys own a TotoLink, be very careful. The last version of the firmware, the newest version of the firmware, lots of different versions of the firmwares have backdoors in them. So that's another fun thing to mention. Just check it out. Well, I'm not exactly sure what the backdoor does. It leaves the router vulnerable. The one of the big thing that it does is it could leave the router vulnerable to outside attacks, but it could also possibly leave them a way to get in and play with all your stuff. Possibly. Maybe.
I don't even use. I get a Soho router, which would be like this kind of Linksys or Asus or Netgear, any of those things. I have one at my house. It does nothing except for activate Wi-Fi. It runs my wireless radio. That's it. It runs my wireless router. That's all it does. I'm not even a router. It's just wireless bridge to the switch. So I use the 4 ports in the switch. I disable the WAN. When I'm really, really, really bored, I will re-enable the WAN port as a switch port using like DDWRT or something along those lines. And then I use the radio. But otherwise, all of these little devices that are all these all-in-ones, no, I don't. I created a pfSense box just for this. So it sits on the outside of my network, and then that thing sits on the inside as a Wi-Fi and another, an extra switch. And it works really well. Otherwise, you can dump those things all together and get like an Ubiquiti router or something along those lines. Just get a Wi-Fi or an Ubiquiti Wi-Fi access point.
Yeah.
So get one of those, and then use it like pfSense on the front end. And
the only problem with that is you get into a bit of money. If you want just something that's you turn it on and leave it alone.
Functionality and security, privacy. Those who give up, what is it? What did he say? Those who give up a little bit of their freedoms and their personal security for, they give up their freedoms and liberties for security, deserve neither.
That still doesn't cover the people that are broke.
Well, then in that case, you can still, pfSense is free, and you can use
it on an old computer,
computer that you cost you $5 at a thrift store, or you just pick one up out of the dumpster. I mean, I'm not even joking. You can pick one up out of the dumpster, and as long as the damn hardware is still intact, slap it together.
Yeah, and the old pFSense video we did is still completely valid. So.
And they've got a new version out with a new graphic interface. So we may have to do an update on that.
Yeah, I need to install that on mine because it's not exactly the most user friendly. It's a firewall that has router functionality. So there's a lot of settings that you have to go through. Forwarding ports. You can forward the ports, and then you've also got to mess with the firewall. You've got to create all these rules and stuff. Makes it a little easier.
The new versions of the interface have a checkbox that says automatically create firewall rules to allow these.
Yeah, before you had to do that yourself, and that was a bit more difficult.
So it's gotten a lot nicer. They've upgraded to the new version of FreeBSD as opposed to the older versions. Anyway, I won't get into that too much, but we might be doing something. That's what we need to do. Screw these TotoLink things. Just turn everything off. Don't even use it. Ugh.
Yeah. All right, let's check out some hardware stuff. So, in China, they've made this is the first one that I've seen, but it's a phone that's going to come with Android, the newest version of Android, or whatever, and also it's going to be a Windows phone, and you'll be able to dual boot between them. You can get it in just Android, and then a little later you can get it with Android and Windows. There's not a Windows only option. I guess they felt like the phone wouldn't be valuable enough just as a Windows phone, but for the 5 people who want Windows phones as well, they're making an Android Windows phone dual boot. And the specs on this are pretty ridiculous. 5.5-inch screen, 2K, 4 gigabytes of RAM. I forget the processor, and the font is too small for me to see all the way down there. And I've clicked on something on the screen, so make it go away. Anyway, could be a pretty interesting and attractive phone. Don't know what the price is going to be. Camera is going to be like one of the Sony sensors that I think around 20 megapixels. So pretty loaded phone. I'm expecting it to be expensive, and it's got rounded corners, so Apple's going to sue them.
And it's going to come out next June.
Yeah.
And you know what the Chinese people are going to say when Apple tries to sue them? We don't care.
Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, we're sorry, but we're no longer allowed to be sold in China.
Bye-bye, Apple. We're not going to make your shit anymore. Bye.
Do you want to sell to our billions of people? No? Okay, well, whatever.
So the next one, this next article, I thought was absolutely hysterical, only because it immediately reminded me of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and the remote control lawnmower. But I guess that's too much work still. So a company that makes the Roomba was contracted to make a robotic lawnmower under pretty much the exact same premise, where it's just going to learn the dimensions of your yard, and it's just going to, eat all the toys. It's going to rip up all the dog
There's a problem. There's a problem here.
It's going to run over your dog.
Here's the problem on this that I can see. So in order to use this thing, you have to manually go out and put stakes in the ground to create sort of a digital barrier so that the thing can operate correctly. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who are completely irresponsible with this thing. And stuff like this, I don't think kids really play many practical jokes with lawnmowers, but something like this is just so freaking enticing. So what if, some kids go out and they put the invisible barrier in a really bad spot?
Well, what if the thing learns its dimensions, and maybe you give it you walk it around the yard the first time, like you have to mow your lawn anyway. What if you walk it around the yard and you tell it and it program it to do its extremities of the yard and what it can actually mow and whatnot?
People are pretty lazy.
I'm more interested in the kid who, I don't know, when we grew up, we had that one kid in the neighborhood who had the lawnmower and he would cart it around the neighborhood and mow everybody's lawn. This guy is going to be like sitting back drinking lemonade while the lawnmower does all the work, and he's gonna be like, yo, that's right, I got 8 different lawns in this one. Or he can just get 10 of them, mow 10 people's lawns at the same time while he's playing Call of Duty. I have no idea.
What if it's the other thing happens? What if everyone individually buys one of these, Roomba makes a ton of money, and then all the 14-year-olds who wanted to make some money for summer are out of a job?
That's the other side of it.
In a lot of places.
What happens if you got yards that like the edges cross over? Are you gonna have like a Roomba lawnmower fight? Are they gonna start fighting each other and like?
And it'll be on Discovery Channel with a bunch of guys with beards longer than ours on the side going, yeah. Discovery Channel is the bearded man channel, no longer the Discovery Channel.
No.
You should put us on the television Discovery Channel.
Yes.
I'm sure we're better than Duck Dynasty or whatever. I said Dynasty.
Dynasty?
Yeah.
Dynasty.
Dynasty.
Next.
Oh, this is nice.
I found this article and I immediately thought of you because you just installed Windows 10.
I put it on this laptop.
I should probably turn my phone.
Because I don't use this laptop very often. Your phone's going to die. I don't use this laptop very often, right?
You know why my phone's going to die?
What?
My phone's going to die because even though we've got everything else not actively activating the internet, we've got this thing tethered to my
right
phone.
Now, yeah.
So it's going to continue to ping Microsoft.
Microsoft is like, you got 50 people on there right now. They're in Switzerland. What can we sell them? They're in Switzerland. They're very interested in what we're doing. They must be because they're up our ass right now.
So it turns out that when you turn Cortana off and you turn all the other things that say don't search on the web, none of that stuff, and you would expect it to not do that, it still does. So when you open up the thing and you search on the browser or on the start menu, it sends a query to
Bing.
Microsoft Bing,
Bing,
and it sends back it actually downloads a file that's just like a machine ID, which I thought was very interesting.
The machine ID stays unique to your machine across reboots. So they're basically monitoring everything you're doing on your machine, even without an account, even without a live account, even without Cortana turned on, even with every checkmark box, leave me alone, go away, don't bother me. They're steel. Steel, I must be these mountains.
We're getting back to our... Anyway, no, one of the things about this that I thought was interesting, they referenced a couple of items that it does when you log onto a network. It hits a Microsoft site and asks for a specific file, and I actually think that's just Microsoft saying, okay, I've connected to a wireless network, can I get on the internet? And it uses Microsoft as a way to do that, as opposed to using Google or Yahoo or anything else. It uses their own stuff. It's Microsoft saying, hey, I can get on the internet, cool, I can get this. Which would be interesting if you set up a proxy system or even you set up your.
Well, that's the problem. Someone actually tried to set up a proxy system, right?
Well, no, they tried to set up the proxy within like the browser. When I'm saying full on the
router level.
Let's hijack the DNS. This is actually a really bad thing. I think we talked about once before, where you can hijack the DNS of your router and force the router to have a different IP for those links that it's trying to hit. So the machine tries to get those and it goes through the router. It'll get redirected to a machine that you control, in which case you can just have it download those things anyway, even if it's on the laptop itself, which would be absolutely great because then it won't talk to Bing, it won't talk to any of those. The problem is those are some nice birds. Yeah, the problem is if you actually have to go to any of these sites that it's trying to hit, you've redirected it to yourself, which is kind of annoying.
We need to test this, and if it works, we need to make a tutorial. Birds.
Oh, you can't see it. It's too high. Oh, maybe. No, it's too high. Sorry,
those are
guys.
Some beautiful birds. Those ravens, crows. What do they have around here?
They're not the ones we saw.
This is the biggest. If they're the crows.
They're not the birds we saw at Pilatus the other day. These ones don't have orange beaks. Anyway, hi. We're in nature.
I like it.
I like it here. This is like the most technology in like a 10 square kilometers. Is this?
Yeah, us driving around in any direction is the most technology in 10 kilometers.
It's gonna be awesome. Driving.
So anyway, let's talk about this because it's kind of interesting. Brain-controlled robots reminds me of Ender's Game a bit, but they're more in a cockpit, but they are controlling,
I think it's partial. I think if
but...
we cross Ender's Game with like Pacific Rim, and the idea that you've got a brain that's actively controlling a robot, which in all reality isn't a bad idea, except for the fact that I'm starting to see robot armies. What happens when this is the bad sci-fi horror movie. Kid is controlling robot. Building that he's in gets struck by lightning, zaps him, somehow sends his entire consciousness into the receiving end of the brain of the freaking robot, and suddenly the robot's completely autonomous and the kid's just slumped over dead. I've watched a lot of sci-fi movies.
I don't think it's going to happen that way. I don't think their brains are going to be zapped or anything like that.
We should make that movie, just saying.
I think, well, I mean, here's what's going on. So in China, excuse me, let me clap. Yeah. So in China, here's what they're doing. They are training their military to use, I guess it's EGG technology or EEG technology, to think and have robots respond to their actions. Now the robot technology is not there yet, but this technology sort of is there, so they can already start to train them. I mean, it's kind of like playing a video game. You guys have seen some of those old devices you put on. Even I forgot, OCZ had one. Like the brainwave scanner type things that allow you to think and control
things.
There's
the cat ear thing. Those things do the same stuff where it just hits your brainwaves. Stephen Hawking operates. Actually, does he?
He does with his eyes. Yeah, his eyes. Yeah. He could probably start using one of those eventually. He's sort of got his trademark voice and everything going on. Anyway,
you can just change the interface.
This has pretty interesting implications for the future of fighting. Imagine just like a robot army that are all controlled by humans. So.
I feel about that.
There's one interesting thing here.
I don't know how I feel about that just on a political and on a sociological level, is that suddenly we're here in the middle of the mountains and we've got a robot army coming in. It doesn't matter how many we put down, as many as they can manufacture on the other side, they're going to send at us, and they're not actually hurt by it. You're going to have a person on the thing that's like, damn it, I lost. Not game over. I got 5 more lives.
I can respawn. I've got like... Yeah, you could have way more robots than people, and just keep like almost essentially respawning, and the additional robots will activate. Or, maybe you could train them to have squadrons of them, and the robots could intelligently traverse the terrain. We're talking like 20 years in the future. Robots intelligently traverse the terrain while the guy is sitting there thinking, move forward. They're all moving forward, but he doesn't have to think, jump over that rock, jump over that thing. They're just move forward, jump, shoot.
Yeah, it would create more like a hive mind group of robots that are operating off of a single user. That would be, again... trademark sci-fi movie plots. All of this is ours. You steal it, I'm gonna come after you.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So I want to know what you guys think about that. I mean, there was also another piece of news that we cut because we don't have a lot of time with all these batteries and stuff.
And the sun going down.
Yeah, the sun's going down. Our eyes are getting dark. There was something interesting about them developing technology for space combat, and that's mainly because there are so many satellites floating around out there in outer space. But it was like 13,000, I forget what it is, but there's a lot of them out there. But that could be the next area where we start fighting up there, knocking each other's spacecraft and satellites around. It could be for alien combat, yeah.
Aliens.
All right. What's this?
I don't think I read this one.
Oh, this one's a quick and easy one.
I didn't read it.
It's the only gaming thing we have to talk about. We're going to do an episode of WASD in like a day or so and try to cover
everything we did at Gamescom and that kind of jazz stuff.
Yeah.
And like some of the stuff we did
a bit more, yeah.
We'll get that in the next couple of days, hopefully before. I don't know. Anyway, let's get through this.
So this one is interesting because it's about the Steam Workshop and the Skyrim mods on there. And it just shows you that it's kind of the Wild West on there. The most popular mod is a compilation of realism mods that people have stolen from other websites like the Nexus mod website or whatever. They've stolen all these mods, put them together in one package, and uploaded them to Steam without any of the author's permission. And it's the #1 Skyrim mod.
Well, yeah, when you take a bunch of stuff, package it together, and make it easily installable, it would definitely be very popular. The question I have is, what are they going to do about it?
See, I don't know. If I was, a content creator, I would want my content to get out there in almost any way possible and people to see it and people to use it. When you put it all together in one bundle, it becomes a bit more difficult to know what I created and what someone else created. I guess also, it's just a recognition thing, and also, why didn't someone call and say, hey, can I do this? Maybe I would have said yes.
My question really is, when you install all this, does it install them as separate mods, or does it install it as one mod that's been bundled together? Or when you download it and you install it to Skyrim,
it's a bundle.
But does Skyrim see it as 80 mods?
Skyrim is going to see it as several different things.
Well, as long as it's not like, hey, I created all of this stuff, it's just a bundle. I'm not saying that this is the right thing to do.
I'm not
sure.
Permission. I have not downloaded this because I already use a lot of these mods independently. I need to look a little bit more into this. I'm not sure if it actually turns it all into one, activation EPS file or whatever, ESP.
Because the problem I have with that is that unless somebody's maintaining the bundle, what happens if one of those mods gets updated or something? Again, it's how do you keep maintain all of these different mods? I mean, what's really going on, and how is it maintaining? How is it upgrading its versioning? It's messy. So unless you're the one who, if you're the guy out there who actually made this bundle and put it on Steam, what are you doing?
Yeah, really, what are you doing?
You should have gone out and got the permission of everybody. You should have said, hey guys, let's get together and do this. I highly doubt they would have been like, nope, sorry man, not going to do it. Some of them may have been, in which case they would have been like, I don't want it on Steam, which is fine, and then you just don't include them. But then they're not going to be included when you download this one bundle. Someone's going to have to go find it. Anyway, I'm just saying is that if you'd asked permission and they'd put it together as like a team, I don't think this would have ever even been an issue.
Now, I'm not saying that this is something where Steam should just turn off all mods, but there needs to be
some kind of curation?
Yeah, a little bit of curation. Because this is really obvious. These are all big Skyrim mods from the Nexus and all that sort of thing. So it's a bit obvious. You could have community moderators who could look at this and be like, what the hell? And now it's the #1 mod. They should be able to look at this and be like, oh, okay, this is not cool. Let's take it down.
Either that or find some way of, again, collaborating with the people who created it, curate it, fix it up, and even leave it there or update it, but definitely slap the person in the wrist who made this. Or, hang them up from there somewhere.
So, that's pretty much it for today. I guess we could talk a little bit about our journey, but we're running out of battery on all of our stuff here. It's not too bad. Capturing is not terribly battery draining, is whatever that is. We're also using the Sennheiser mic, so I'll say thanks to Adorama, because they wanted me to say thanks. They said, could you say thanks out loud? And I'm like, no.
This microphone sounds like this. It's
right
there. It's right there, hidden in this obfuscated thing.
Right? Free advertising that they didn't pay for this advertising, but they're letting us borrow the Sennheiser for this trip. So that's been really helpful. So thanks very much, Adorama.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I mean, without it, all the jokes aside, we actually bought the freaking camera there. So I was really happy when they emailed and said, hey, do you want some stuff? When they said you want it back, it's laying on the rocks right now. Yeah.
It's all right.
It should be all right. So if you guys are ever in Switzerland, there's a few things you should know. Get a place that has a kitchen and cook as much as you can. If you're trying to save money, go out to the stores. It's much cheaper to go to the store and buy food and prepare it at home than it is to go out to eat.
Which is pretty much true everywhere, but especially here, since we've found that we went to dinner the other night, and what would normally cost, even in New York, would cost us maybe $40 for us to eat, cost us closer to like 85 or 90, and that's CHF. That's like 80. It was like 80. It's like 82
francs,
which is the
Swiss francs.
Swiss francs, and right now we're lucky because the conversion is like 1.1, so we get 1 franc for every
Holy,
dollar.
yeah, if the freaking francs were strong, oh my God,
we'd be
it'd
spending
be costing hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, we'd be spending like $150 just to eat every day. It was like, what? I usually spend that on a week.
Yeah, we got a decent burger. I'm talking like a mid-range burger will run you about $38. Side salad 18. Anyway, you come here for the mountains, and these are
the Swiss Alps. Everything around here. We'll show you. Well, we'll cut in a video here of just Swiss Alps.
These are like, they're not the highest mountains I've ever seen, but they are ridiculously awesome. Like they're sheer, they're rugged, they're covered in evergreens.
Part of the
trees.
reason why these aren't the highest mountains you've ever seen that we've got right around here is because the highest mountains are actually behind these ones and behind those ones.
Well, the Matterhorn is like it's like a few kilometers that way. It's in the clouds. You can be able to see it on a clear day.
It's far enough away that it's below the horizon here, and the mountains that are wrapping through this canyon.
You should go for a little bit. There, that's
fine. Anyway, so the mountains that are wrapping through this canyon block our view, but it's massive. It's that way.
Yeah, it's freaking amazing.
And there's a big one way over there, and it looks like this little blip, and it looks lower than all of these, but it's huge, and it's way over there. And then it's been pretty cloudy too, so we haven't been able to see as much as we wanted. Yeah, which sucks, but it's what it is.
Tomorrow we're going to be checking out Jungfrau, and that means the mountain. I'm talking about the mountain here, so we're going to that area tomorrow. What is it? Lauterbrunnen.
Lauterbrunnen.
You're really cool. So you guys could stalk us over there, if you want to, if you feel like driving down. If someone's cool enough to drive down there, we'll go hiking. That's just
it'd be great.
All there is to it. Other than that, the internet speeds, even like there are little tiny log cabins. I don't know how they build them. They build them all over the place. You just look at the side of a mountain and you're like, what the? There's like a whole village, like
these guys
2,000 meters up, a village.
These guys have mastered the art of the skyscraper crane for building a house up on a mountain. That's
there's like cranes up there and everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, the internet speeds are still decent up there. Ours is like, we have a tiny little cabin in the middle of nowhere with one restaurant and like cobblestone streets that are big enough for a horse and buggy.
We had to park like effectively a block and a half away.
It's like still 20 down. It's only 5 up, but I mean, it's not bad for, if you found a place like that in America that you'd be barely getting 5 megabits on DSL, barely.
You might have DSL. You might have to be resorting to satellite.
So that's cool. Cities are really cool, Bern, and we're going to Zurich on over the weekend. Metal bars and stuff like that, laid back. I tend to favor the German section because I'm not too good at French.
Yeah, my French is terrible.
But the French area was pretty cool too. We went to some of those places, whatever. And we have our. It's going to take me forever to edit, but should be interesting.
Yeah, look forward to that one. That one was really, really amazing. We did not get to go down into the tunnel and see the LHC.
We would have melted and then
we would have melted and frozen death at the same time. Yeah, it would have been terrible. Except I still think I would have come back out glowing as a superhero. That's
it's totally irradiated because they're actually using it right now. And
we did go see. We saw CAST, which is the CERN Axion. Crap, I can't remember the other 2 letters. It's a
special thing. The CERN Axion special thing.
They probably should adopt that as the real name. Anyway, no.
It used to be Satan, but you guys can look up that on your own. But yeah, Project Satan.
It was a really cool helioscope, and that was probably the biggest one in the world. So we were like, what? It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're looking for Axions, which
and it's made mostly of recycled material, which I thought was amazing.
Because they don't have really much of a budget, because all the money goes into the LHC. Now, Axions are almost as exciting. I mean, the Higgs boson, really important, really exciting. The Higgs boson was created because there was a hole in the math equation, and they're like, there must be a Higgs boson. Axions were created, and they're named after a detergent because they're made to clean up a hole that's in a math problem. So there must be something
standard
there.
Model.
The standard model is so sound. And they've been finding all the little pieces. It's like they have a puzzle of a horse and there's a piece missing of the nose, and you're like, I'm looking for the horse's nose. I know what I'm looking for. It's just this, but we need something more powerful. So they need funding to build a bigger, thing, and then maybe they'll be able to find the Axions. But that'll be in a totally separate video coming up pretty soon. And Axions also, not with their experiment, they're looking for solar Axions, but there are some other experiments where they're looking for Axions that could prove the existence of dark matter, and that's probably one of the biggest hurdles in science today, is wondering where the hell is everything else. So
I'm pretty
filling
excited.
in the blanks.
It was a lot of fun, and it was a really good trip. Thank you very much for showing us around, Madeline. It was an
awesome.
amazing trip.
So that's pretty much it, guys. And thanks to Corsair. Yeah, you guys are helping us get here too. So yeah, you guys get a shout out, and that's pretty much the end of the video.
The sun's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.